Welcome to the Building the Perfect Mind podcast. I'm still your host, Hagin Ojukwu. Today's podcast is on the topic social media use or the validity of social media. Social media has a very high impact on the mental health of the youth, most especially the youth of today. And it speaks to certain levels of use or like say productivity in everyone's life. I got a post not long ago which I posted on my WhatsApp status, and it somewhat provoked some people. Like the post was on, imagine a movie that that the character just laid in bed scrolling on social media all day, and then they now asked, do you think that movie will be very interesting? And damn, no, that movie will not be interesting. So now it speaks to, why do we do that? I am not exempting myself. I am very much somewhat in that loop. Why do we do that? Why are we somewhat addicted to social media? Basically, there's a certain prevalence it has, and it's just for you to know that billions of users worldwide have an average daily usage which exceeds several hours. Like, gosh, if you calculate the number of hours each person spends on social media, you would be baffled. Like, if I calculated it, I think I spent roughly 2 to 3 hours of my day on social media. That is awful. That is crazy. That is mad. Social media has its influence actually, which actually shapes one's perceptions, its attitudes and behavior. And it has this significant effects. It really messes with the mental well-being, with the mental health. Like, there's this scrolling disease that I call it a scrolling disease that many people are going through, but they don't know they're going through it because it's a mental problem. Yes, I'm saying it publicly. Yeah, it's a mental problem. Like, what do you mean you're scrolling for the past 1 hour and you cannot account for the productivity of that 1 hour? That is a disease. That is messed up, man. So I would want us to know that it's also, will I say, we deceive ourselves sometimes, say that it's for exploration. We do that to explore, to flex, to learn from, some people say that they learn from social media, from the scrolling. Okay, thank you for that lie. But then again, we should really understand the effect it has. The effect it has. And this podcast, this topic today is to help us reshape our mindset and the effect that social media has on us. So I believe that understanding social media's impacts is vital for mitigating potential negative effects, and it helps us foster healthier online interactions. So I want to let you know that there is a psychology of social media. It has psychological manipulation, which is that social media platforms employ various tactics to keep one engaged, such as the infinite scrolling, which actually got people to have that scrolling disease, the notifications, and personalized algorithms. Sometimes you're going through social media and you'll be like, wait, I thought of this thing. I thought of this thing one time, or I researched on this thing. Why am I seeing it? So it makes you more relaxed and more, copious, I would say, because you want to, be more involved with it. And it's very manipulative, if you ask me. Very manipulative. So that's one of the effects, the psychological, let's say, effects of social media. Number two, that it has dopamine and social validation. Dopamine and social validation. So social media activates the brain's reward system. There's this podcast on dopamine award system by, it's dopamine award, dopamine reward. Anyway, it's by the mindset mentor, Rob Dial. And it practically speaks to the effects you get from doing certain things and it gives you that dopamine. Dopamine is something, let's say, the effect or some of the resonance of what you carry out, what you do, like if you hit the gym, for instance, it gives you a certain level of dopamine because you feel like you feel alive, you feel like, yeah. Anywho, so this social media activates that brain's reward system, which releases dopamine and creates a craving for, comments, likes, shares. Even if, yes, many people do get some reward from that, like, get paid and all that. But again, there's that dopamine that people get from likes and comments and shares and all that. And you ask yourself, is this worth it? Like, is this really worth it? Because some people, if they don't get liked, they get depressed. If they don't get liked, they don't get shared, they don't get comments on their posts, they get very depressed. So it speaks to the why you actually do things. Lastly, the third psychology of social media is this social media addiction, which is, rampant. It's basically the constant pursuit of social validation, which leads to compulsive behavior, which negatively impacts the mental health. Yes, it negatively impacts the mental health. So, these three psychology of social media that I just, rendered is something that we should actually look at. The psychological manipulation, the dopamine and social validation, and then the social media addiction. Now look at all these things. Now I would like us to understand the effects or the negative effects on the mental health. Social media has negative effects, and yes, it has positive effects, but I'm speaking to the negative because it's when we counter the negative, we will actually build that mind better. We'll build that perfect mind the more. Number one of the negative effects on the mental health is it increases stress, anxiety, and depression. We should understand that social media can exacerbate or aggravate existing conditions. What does this entail? It means simply that if I had a bad day, I feel a bit sad. I feel like I didn't achieve any goal that day. I didn't feel like I'm broke at that moment. You get into social media and get into, for instance, Instagram or Facebook and all. You get to see someone thriving, maybe got a new Benz, got something that is really moving them, maybe got money and all that. Yeah, you just feel worse. So that's like a very bad thing, I would say, is a negative effect it has, that exacerbation. And it's actually, I'm one to actually have faced that. And sometimes it gets you like all worked up and all, and it's contribute to the depressive states, the anxiety, the stress. Oh God. Number two is cyberbullying, online harassment, and hate speech. This is actually a very high level of high effect it has, high negative effect it has. So there's the anonymity of social media, which facilitates harmful behavior and leads to emotional distress and trauma. There are many people that love bullying people on social media, that love making people feel less of who they are, make people feel useless, make people feel awful, and all that is cyberbullying. And it's something that messes with the mind of people sometimes. Because maybe the person that is bullying you and harassing you online might look like he is more successful than you. This can have a negative effect on your mind, and it also leads to you now trying to show face, trying to do things that you don't usually do, which is in a negative term. Like I said, having a mental effect. You try to make money to show off on social media, which it somewhat improves the inferiority complex mindset. Like I said, it's a negative thing. So this is a negative effect. Like it's flipping negative, man. So that's one of the reasons why I don't really do much of conversing with strangers and clout chasing and all that. It brings that cyberbullying. Yeah. So while we're just bringing this home, do not chase clout, because that will definitely bring people like that. The cyberbullies, people that will harass you, people that will hate you and all that. Do not chase clout. Do things as original as you can. Number 3 is comparison and envy. Oh, that's one hit me, man. Comparison and envy. This speaks to social media's platform of which showcases curated highlight reels, fostering unrealistic comparisons and negatively impacting self-esteem and body image. Like the first one, which contributed to the anxiety and depression. That comparison and envy is one thing that also leads to that depression and anxiety. Yeah, a huge, mad negative effect on the mental health. However, this comparison has a negative impact on our esteem, because the Bible says one who compares himself to another is a fool. It makes you foolish. You understand? Why compare yourself with anybody on social media? Like, why? No, why? Someone told me something. If you have to compare yourself with anything, compare yourself with everything. Compare yourself with all tiers, not just the one up there, but also the one below. Like, at the level where you are now, you have people that are higher than you, people that are the same level, and people that are dead. So why wouldn't you compare yourself with those that are dead? There's a podcast I released, a topic in the podcast I released on gratitude. Gratitude is one very, 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 very important way to actually, escape this comparison, addiction. You always comparing and having envy. No. When you are grateful and you express gratitude, you counter that. Anywho, there are impacts on relationships and communications that social media has. Number 1 is social isolation and increased face-to-face interaction. I spoke to someone in my church one time. I told her that people don't talk to people anymore. They like chatting to them. They like texting, rather. They like texting. They prefer texting. They don't like looking at people eyeball to eyeball, but they like just, texting them, which is mad. It's mad at how bad the world has become. And I'm looking at why. Today, if you go and walk up to somebody and say, hi, my name is this, my name is that, I would like to be your friend. They'll see you as you're retarded. They'll see you as a crazy person. But then again, is that what you want? Is that not what is meant to be? It should be a universal thing. If you ask me, it should be a universal thing. Yeah. So, I believe that excessive social media use, you understand, has that impact, which has led to reduced in-person connections and deepened feelings of loneliness. It has done that. It has done that. Like, I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to myself too. I'm actually going on a journey of meeting people and just, hey, hi, my name is this. Hey, hi, my name is that. Instead of in person, not just social media, is actually exhausting. Yeah. So, that's the impact it has had. Yes, Dan. Number 2 is changes in communication styles and empathy. Social media can very much impair empathetic abilities and alter communication styles, which potentially leads to misunderstandings and conflicts. For instance, someone says, oh, I lost my dad. You'd be like, in Nigeria, someone would say, sorry, you. That's very provocative. But in person, the person says, oh, sorry, you. I don't get, there's a difference between the texted, sorry, you, and then there's real life, sorry, you. Well, it speaks to empathy. It speaks to empathy, and it's what we actually should, do. Like, we should be more empathetic. If we want to be, very good with social media and everything, we should be more empathetic. But then the impact that it has reduced that. You understand? It has changed the communication styles and the empathy that it's meant to yield. Number 3 is blurring of personal and public boundaries. blurring of personal and public boundaries. Social media can erase the distinction between private and public spaces, which results in oversharing and somewhat of vulnerability. And also, let me add, hacking. Yeah. But anyway, this blurring of personal and public boundaries is something that many people are not seeing. One is to have that transcendental understanding of what this means. It has come to completely give a void, that which erases that segregation, that understanding of this is private, this is semi-public, this is public space. There are things that you shouldn't be on the public space. Like you see on social media, you can be scrolling, you see somebody's nakedness. That shouldn't be on the public space. That shouldn't be on the internet. That shouldn't be where anyone could see it. But you can see that what social media has done, you understand, which it has resulted in that oversharing. You see people posting a lot of things for likes, you understand, posting because they want that private thing to become public. Yeah. I really believe I'm making sense to many of us out there. So there are effects on self-identity and self-esteem, which social media has. Number one, it's curated online persona versus real life identity. Social media profiles often present an idealized version of oneself, which creates a disparity between online and offline identities. So you see someone on social media, maybe the person has 300,000 followers. You meet the person in real life, you'll be like, yeesh, is this the person that has 300,000 followers? He must have bought it. You'll be like, nah, he must have definitely bought those followers because he doesn't look it, or he doesn't act it, or that's not his persona in person. So that speaks to actually a lot. Number two is constant comparison and self-worth. This is like the effect on self-identity and self-esteem. Let's remember, this is number two. It says constant comparison and self-worth. So the constant exposure to others' curated on content, can lead to self-doubt, which envy and decreased self-esteem also results. So it messes with one's self-esteem. Yeah, that's one of the bad effects of social media. It messes with that self-esteem because of your comparing yourself and your self-worth with people around that most likely live a fake life. So you doubt yourself and have this envy. Please, I'm going to beg people to kill that mindset of envy. God damn, that mindset can mess you up. So please, that's one of the effects. I want you to understand that. Number three is the loss of personal authenticity and individuality. I did mention one of the podcasts on authenticity. Is vital to have that authenticity in one's sphere in life. So loss of personal authenticity and individuality. What does this say? This is an effect to social media, which affects the self, identity and self-esteem. Anyway, so the pressure to conform to online norms can result in the suppression of unique qualities and authentic expressions. You'll be like, nah, I haven't seen that in social media. Why will I post something like that? Why will I talk something like that? Why will I do something like that? When I was discussing with a friend of mine the why I have my podcast, the person was like, why is it necessary? The podcast is not necessary. Who will listen to it? Do you need listeners? I said, I'm not looking at people fanning me or loving me or wanting that. I don't get a high level of appraisal from, the podcast I release and all that. That's not really the intention. The intention is deeper than that. I'm doing this as I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to myself. So I'm creating authenticity as it comes. There's no podcast in the world that the name is Building the Perfect Mind. This is the first to go to the glory of God, actually. So what does this say? It speaks to that individuality that you are to bring. So there's this pressure to conform to the normal things that they do on social media. So you want to do those normal things. No. You have to rise above the status quo. Rise above the status quo that is defined by the social media platforms. So do things that are unique. I have strategies that would definitely help one to have and to develop a healthy social media use. Yeah, very important strategies and normal as it is. I have just 3. Number 1 is setting boundaries and limits. When we establish guidelines for our social media use, it helps with time constraints, like such as time constraint and app restrictions. It helps with a discipline that helps us become more productive. You don't need to be on social media all the time, especially if you're not one who earns from social media platforms. You're not getting anything from it. Why are you just there scrolling, and you get to see things you're not meant to see, you get to hear things you're not meant to hear? We have to have guidelines for social media use. Have guidelines. Social media use. I'll say it's hypnotic. Social media is hypnotic. Yeah. It has a certain level of hypnosis that it makes you enter and you're like, you'll be there for hours. It's hypnotic. Like, gosh. So, we are to set boundaries. You have to set boundaries. It's very imperative. It's imperative. Please understand that certain boundaries and limits is crucial. Number 2 is practicing self-compassion and self-awareness. Self-compassion and self-awareness. Why is practicing self-compassion and self-awareness on these strategies? When we recognize personal vulnerabilities and engage in mindful social media use, it will help with the usage itself. You understand? It would help with the usage itself. So if I'm one who is self-aware of myself, like knows what I'm capable of, knows how hypnotic I could get or I could be induced by the social media, that's me being aware, and that's also helping me discipline myself. And it now helps me now engage mindfully in social media, helps me be more, deliberate with where I am on social media. You understand? So that's self-awareness is important, actually. So practicing self-awareness and self-compassion would help with that social media use, that healthy social media use. Number 3 is using social media intentionally and mindfully. Again, this speaks to that. Following accounts that promote positivity, education, or inspiration, and avoiding mindless scrolling. Avoiding mindless scrolling. I think that's the key word here. So when we use social media intentionally and mindfully, as it's a strategy for healthy social media use, it helps kill that scrolling sickness. Yes, and that scrolling, you'll be scrolling. It kills that. It really, really deals with that 247 scrolling, and it's exhausting if you ask me. So let's delve towards having these strategies implemented. Okay. Lastly is the digital detox and alternative activities. This is one thing that is a recommendation, which I'm rendering to everyone. I want you all to understand the vitality of digital detoxification and having hobbies. Number 1, benefits of taking breaks from social media. It helps with definitely reducing stress, and it increases productivity and improved mental clarity. So this is you digitally detoxifying yourself. Avoid laptop, avoid your phone, avoid this, which you feel just do these few things and focus on maybe the institutional memory and scope definition, like writing, for instance. That helps with the institutional memories. Writing. Most people say, I write my laptop. No. Try using your hand. Your hand, the handwritten. Try using that. People don't write again these days. It's painful. Everybody's always on their phones, and that's one of the distracting things. And taking breaks from social media is one way to definitely reduce that stress. It's definitely going to reduce that stress and that high level of distraction. So in the digital detoxification and hobbies and alternative activities, number 2 is engaging in offline hobbies and interests. Yeah, their offline hobbies, please. Let us know that they are offline hobbies. It's like, but my hobby is playing online game. From online game, you now see that the online game links you to social media. Yeah, it still links you to social media. So digital detoxification is should be very, very deliberate. You understand? It should be very deliberate. So when we're pursuing activities that bring joy and fulfillment, such as reading, exercise, or creative pursuits, this is one way of definitely helping with that healthy social media use actually too, because you now realize that social media is just a tool. You understand? It's not just, social media is just a tool, not your life. Number 3 is cultivating meaningful connections and community, investing in personal relationships and shared experiences. So this is something that you be deliberate about, and this helps with that digital detoxification. Like I said, walk up to people, greet them. Hey, what is your name? Be as analog as possible. I like to say that. Be as analog as possible. So if you invest in in-person relationships, they last longer. To me, you understand? You don't start saying things like, I'm going to block this person, I'm going to do this. No. That's what social media has done. Social media makes you feel like you have power and all that, instead of bringing you to the humble state you're meant to have. We should learn to cultivate that meaningful connections. Please learn to cultivate that. In conclusion, I want you all to know that social media is good when used well. It's good when used well. If you use social media badly, then it's very bad. So if you have a disciplined approach to the use of social media, it helps with everything. If you just go through everything, we have the negative effects of social media on mental well-being and strategies and everything. If you review all these things, you realize that there is work to be done on yourself. If you're like me, that has, been lost, so I've been lost in time with social media, that has somewhat been confused and have lost discipline. But let's us delve on that journey together. In building the perfect mind, we are to understand that building a healthy social media use is one way, because it affects the mind and it affects our level of productivity, our level of lifelong involvement, our level of growth. So if you can conquer the use of social media, it's definitely going to be something. So I would like to let you know and to encourage you to use social media right. You remember, it's a tool. It's a tool. It's not life. It's a tool. You use it righteously. You use it rightly. You don't just use it anyhow. No. You are in charge. It's not in charge of you. Just know that, okay? And if we are to build this mindful social media use, self-awareness, and intentional online interactions, like I said, it completely helps with the goal of building the perfect mind. I really am glad to have many of you joining on the podcast and also listening and give me feedback. Thank you so much for always doing that. To all my amazing friends, please, like I said, make it a point of duty to encourage the next person around you and to let the person know that there's a healthy use of social media and then there's an unhealthy use of social media. Encourage the next person around you to know that there's a goal to build the perfect mind, and let the person know how valuable he or she is in life, and has to also understand the importance of, building the perfect mind. So please, as we do that, I believe that we would definitely achieve purpose, and we have a clear definition of our lifelong purpose, our lifelong goal, and our lifelong journey to build the perfect mind. Thank you once again for listening in. I remain your host, Hagen Ojukwu. On to the next podcast.